102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
KLK 102.5 FM. Good morning to you on your Wednesday. It's November 2nd, 2016. This is the first Wednesday of the month, which means it is time for our interview with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott, and he is in the studio with us today. We also have some very special guests. We have Detective Shay Racy, and we have K-9 Officer Mr. Zaffarano. I didn't catch his first name. What's your first name? Tony Zaffarano. And we've got, I don't know if you can see him on our live stream. We are joined by his trusted dog. And what's the dog's name?
Cash.
Alrighty, so I'm going to let Kabila go ahead and get started this morning.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming.
Well, good morning.
Thank you all for honoring my request. So since he's a little hyper, we're going to go ahead and get started with Mr. Cash here. I just want to know, okay, what role does he play with helping the police department solve cases and, fight crime?
His biggest asset is to help find illegal narcotics.
Okay.
What we mainly use them for. Their noses are so much stronger than the human nose.
Okay.
And so what we may not smell, they're able to sniff out.
Okay. And so at what point do you take them out on a call, or is the dog in the truck or car at all times?
The dog's in the car with us 8 hours a day,
Okay.
7 days a week. Whenever we're at work, they're with us.
Okay.
We utilize them whenever we're called
Okay.
and deemed necessary to use them. So
Okay.
they're a great tool to have.
And so how much training do they have to go through for the various smells and things that, they're needed to sniff out? How much training do they have to go through?
The handler goes through a 2-week handler school with them, and then we get certified every year with the dog. They go through probably 2 to 5 months, anywhere, depending on the dog and how long it takes them to pick up the training. But each year they are certified on 5 different odors, illegal narcotics.
Okay. And then I noticed that you were giving him some commands that were not English. So what are the different languages that you use to command the dogs?
He's used German commands. We also have Dutch, and we also have Czechoslovakian commands.
Okay.
And the reason we utilize that is so the handlers can control the dog, and just anybody in the general public can't tell the dog what to do.
Okay.
And of course, if you're watching on our Facebook live stream, you can see that Cash is definitely having a ball.
And he lost his ball.
Yeah, it's very slobbery. So.
Oh goodness. Okay. So also, I know TV has kind of distorted our view and our perception of what role also the dogs play. Do you?
Hey, and he's getting on the mic. He wants to say something.
Oh, he'll speak in a minute.
Okay. Do you ever have him attack someone, say if they're trying to run away, or depending on the case, the situation, do you ever command the dog to attack, I guess, to stop the criminal? Yes,
we do. If we need to use them to apprehend, we don't call it attack. We call apprehend. Because that's exactly what they're doing. If we can't catch them, the dogs it's a lot easier for K9 to apprehend somebody than since they have 4 legs and we only got 2.
Okay.
Some of these younger kids out here get out and run. But the greatest asset is we take them to schools and let the kids see them and get to know that the dogs are friendly. So if you see the dogs out there, we don't use them just solely for bite purpose and apprehension. We use them more for a tool and knowledge to make the community aware of what they can and cannot do.
Okay.
And we got a Facebook shout out already. Shout out to Mrs. Cora Evans Hester. So I'm sure Cora is having a blast watching Cash do his thing on our Facebook live stream.
Oh goodness! And so I'm sure the kids truly enjoy having Cash
They do.
in the classroom. Now, how many dogs do you have on? I hate to say staff. How many K9?
7.
7.
We have 7 now. We have 6 narcotics dogs, and we have 1 bomb dog.
Okay. And do they get to wear protective vests and things like that when they're out in the field?
We do. I think we have 1, maybe 2 dogs that have the vest.
Okay.
The dogs, they can wear out really easy, especially with the heat and humidity that we have here in Arkansas. So the vests add extra weight to the dogs, so it can actually hinder them more than it can actually help them. So it would be a special occasion where we put the best on the dogs.
Okay. And so do you have any events coming up where people can get to interact with the canines or any type of classes or something?
Anytime somebody wants to see the dog or do a canine demonstration, all you have to do is email the police department. Usually it's Sergeant Brandon with the police department that gets those requests.
Okay.
And then she emails them out to us, and we go. It's very rare that we say no to somebody that wants a canine demonstration.
Okay.
So we'll bring them to schools, any schools in the area, and I've been to different cities and different counties actually with the dogs. So if anybody wants to see it and learn more about the canine program, all they have to do is send an email to Sergeant Brandon at the police department.
Sergeant Brandon?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yeah,
And I see-
utilized it a couple times with Girl Scout and Boy Scout stuff. So.
Okay.
And we do all kinds of stuff with the dogs. It's not just schools. The Boy Scouts, like you said, Girl Scouts, community events.
Okay.
Out of the dark, we've walked in that parade multiple years. So anything that comes up.
Okay. Now, how old is Cash?
He's 6, and they usually last till they're about 10 or 11, depending
Okay.
on the dog and how well they stay in shape and stuff. So, but these dogs that we have now tend to last longer.
Okay.
And hold up duration wise. So that's why we use this breed of dog.
All right. So do you get these dogs as puppies and then train them so they can get used to you growing up, or do you get them at a certain age?
Usually they about 11 months, 12 months they'll start. But they come from overseas.
Okay.
And that's strictly because of their bloodlines and how they have a breeding process. They don't crossbreed over there.
Okay.
So they're very expensive dogs.
I can imagine.
They run about $8,500 to $10,000, $8,500 to $10,000 a dog. So, but they're well worth it and well worth what the work they do. So, and the assets that they help take off the streets.
I think your phone dinging is getting his attention.
Oh, well, probably. Well, we got another Facebook shout out to David Carnes. Seems like my fellow CPA people always like to check in when Chief is in. So shout out to all of the citizens, police ambassadors out there listening. And we're going to talk about CPA in just a little bit when we bring Chief Elliott on. We do have Chief Elliott in the studio along with Detective Shay Racy and Officer Tony Zaffarano. And we have Officer Cash as well. And Cash is just settle down for a little bit. So while Cash has settled down for a little bit, let's go ahead and bring in Chief to kind of just give an update on some of the things going on with the department, such as the recent block party that we had that I actually got to DJ and had a good time at.
Well, that was a great event that Officer Blake Easley put together, and on behalf of the Jonesboro Police Department. And I think the turnout was, several hundred?
700 people, I think he said.
700?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
Yeah, it was quite an event up there on into Belrose, and I think everybody had a great time. The music was great.
And of course, if you want to see police officers whipping nay-nay, go on the KLEK Facebook page. Just scroll down, and you'll see Cassie does a mean nay-nay. She can lean and dab and do it all.
Better her than me. But that was a good event. I think everybody up there had a great time. But more important, it was that interaction between the police department and the residents up in that part of town. So we're looking forward to doing more events like that around town here in the near future. The winter months may slow us down a little bit, but this is just something we plan on doing from here on out. Just have community events and bringing the community together with the police department. We do know this community supports the police department, and we always appreciate that, but we want to give back a little bit what we can in the community and keep building these bridges and better relationships.
And not only was Jonesboro Police there were several agencies there. Arkansas State Police were there were constables, University Police, Craighead County Sheriff. I can't even keep up with all the various departments that were there.
Probation, parole.
I'm sure I'm leaving some out.
We had both ambulance services, had representatives there, our police reserve unit. Was there somebody from Game and Fish?
Yeah, Game and Fish was out there.
So area, there was a representation there from everybody, and I think everybody had a great time.
I know we had also Jonesboro Fire, and I believe Brooklyn Fire Department had a truck out there as well.
So went over well, and like you said, if anybody has any desire to look at pictures, go to the KLEK website and take a look at the post.
Yeah, and you definitely got to check out, like I said, and Blake, he got on down too with the dancing. But like I said, when I was out there DJing, I mean, and I'll say this on the air, I mean, events like this, we want to show that the police are a part of the community, that, police, aren't to be feared, that, they want to be there for you. And by doing events like this, it shows that, hey, the police can have fun too. It's not all about arresting people. It's, it's about, interacting, hanging out with the community. And I've gotten a chance to know Blake, and that area is the area that he patrols, and
right.
He talks about how he gets out and knocks on doors and asks the people that live in that particular area, if you need anything. And that's what officers in Jonesboro strive to do. So we want to thank you for that. And this is Hey, Miss Farrell.
Good morning.
Hey, how you doing, Miss Farrell?
Good morning to all the guests and happy holidays.
Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Farrell.
Even Cass says hi.
While I got a chance, I'm in between taking the physical therapy and babysitting. So one's at physical therapy, the other's sleep right now. So I wanted to send my heartfelt feelings out to the officers and the chief on the officers that had been following over the night in, I think it was Iowa.
Right.
And I know when something like that happens to one of your own, it comes close to home, and you think about that, and they're in my prayers. And I just wanted y'all to know that y'all continue to do the good job that you're doing, and be careful out there.
We do appreciate that, and everyone else's support in the loss of a couple of brother officers up north that were ambushed last night. So tragic event, but again, we appreciate your support.
And I was going to ask you something else. Are we still doing ride-alongs this session?
We are still doing some ride-alongs through the CPA session, yes. If you're ready to get yours in.
I didn't get mine the last time, so
right.
I've been looking to find out how far are they down on there. Do you know?
You just come up and you just let me know whenever you want to ride, and we'll get you accommodated.
Okay. All right, then. All right. Y'all
right.
Be careful. Have a good day, everybody.
Right. Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
I thank you, Ms. Farrell. And of course, if you have a question for Chief Elliott or any of the officers, or even if you have a question for Cash, I don't know if Cash will be able to respond, but you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. You can also post your comments and your questions on our Facebook live stream. See if we have any other shout outs. We don't have any shout outs, but we do have some people watching, so shout out to everyone who is watching live on Facebook. And also shout out to my volunteer Danielle. She's outside, but she won't come in. I think Cash put the fear of God in her.
Oh goodness.
So I texted her, told her she could come in. He won't bite, but
No, he's really friendly. So
All right, so Chief, what are some of the things going on? Mrs. Farrell mentioned CPA. How is the current CPA class coming?
Well, it's starting to wind down. Actually, we're going to have graduation for this session on Thursday, November 17th.
Oh, that's my dad's birthday, so it'll be easy to remember.
So this session is winding down. I think once again we had another great class, and everybody seems to be enjoying the program. As we said earlier, we'll be conducting two of these every year, so the next class will be in January. So if anyone does have an interest in this program, you can go to our website, download an application, and get it sent in and get on the list, because it will start filling up pretty quick. And we are limited to about the first 32 people that sign up.
And for those who may have not heard of CPA, just kind of give a quick brief overview of what
Sure.
CPA is about.
It's Citizen Police Academy, and basically it's a 12-week course. People sign up and participate in the program. It's 3 hours a night on Thursday night for 12 weeks. And we cover all aspects of policing. At the end of the program, you're not certified in anything, but hopefully you have a better understanding of what policing is all about and have a better relationship with the police department. If you have any, a lot of times people, they don't really understand what policing does and what all is involved in policing. And this is just an educational program to bring people in and give them a better understanding of what actually goes on policing. Because some people think, they just get out and ride around cars, write tickets, and that's all there is to the job. But once they get into this is much more complex than that. And so this is an educational process, and just give everybody a chance to experience what we deal with day in and day out. And it's a it's a big eye opener.
And I can definitely attest to that. I graduated from session 2 of CPA, and I definitely enjoyed it, and I definitely had a lot of, I didn't come in with a negative conception of police. I came in with an open mind, and I learned a lot, and I find what you do fascinating, and I definitely enjoyed that. Definitely enjoyed the ride-alongs. And Chief, I still got to do that ride-along with you one day.
Absolutely.
All right. One of the things that you said is that police work is not just all about traffic stops, but traffic stops are something that is a very important function of the police department. So we're going to kind of use that to transition into the recent saturation patrols that the Jonesboro Police Department has been conducting off Nettleton and Caraway. You all, I believe off air, you told me that you all are looking to cut down on texting while driving and
you're correct.
And running stoplights and other offenses.
Well, texting, driving, and seatbelt compliance, things like that. Our accident rates have gone up considerable, and we're up to around 300 a month now. And it comes to the point in time that we're going to have to do something to try to slow these things down. So these saturations during the afternoon hours, we're trying to get people compliant on wearing seatbelts, stay off the phone, because distracted driving is a leading cause of a lot of accidents in Jonesboro, and some of these accidents result in serious injuries or sometimes death, and it's not worth hurting yourself or hurting somebody else or killing somebody because you're on your cell phone trying to text somebody or checking Facebook while going down the road, and especially during the evening rush hour. And this is what we find too often. These officers working these intersections, basically when the light's holding the lanes of traffic on the red light, the officers just walk by the cars and see people on the phone texting. And the scary part is people don't see the officers walking down the road, and they're wearing a bright green vest, and they come up and knock on their window, and it startles them, and they don't have a clue that somebody's approaching the vehicle because they have their head buried down their phone. So it's a safety risk for their own personal safety, not because of the officer, but anybody can walk up on somebody and you got your head buried, so that's a big distraction. But more important, you've taken your attention away from your driving and what's going on around you. If traffic starts moving, you got your head buried, then somebody behind you may rear end you. So there's all kinds of things that could happen, so stay off the phone while you're driving. It is a law that can't be on the texting. So we just ask you to stay off of it. We are enforcing these laws, and we are writing tickets to get everybody to be compliant. And again, the goal there is to bring down the accident rates in Jonesboro, because we want everybody to make it home safely at the end of the afternoon, and we want to go home safe also.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I just saw Detective Racy. He's been smiling like he's itching to say something. So
he hadn't had a chance to speak yet. So.
I haven't, which I'm battling a little cold, so that's okay too. Is there a question?
Well, I was actually going to get to you after on the other side of the break, but you were smiling like you was itching to say something now. So I wanted to make sure that gave you the opportunity to say whatever's on your mind. But when we come back from the break in 2 minutes, we will be talking with you about the role of the detective as far as the Jonesboro Police Department goes. Getting it back. Well, let's go back to Mrs. Farrell. Kelly K.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't know that they were doing that. Wish they got my attention, but I don't touch the grass. But I happened to run into one the other evening. Well, I guess it was last week or whatever it was on Caraway and is that Nettleton? Yeah. And I thought it had been an accident or either they was doing what is that, sorority? I said, but if they're doing a sorority, sure it's early in the evening. But it definitely did my attention. I didn't know what was going on.
Right. Well, again, it's just heads up to everybody that we will continue with these for a while. Now, with time change coming up this weekend, they may not last as long, but we want people to be compliant, and we're going to be doing this kind of measure and heavy enforcement, again, just to get people to be compliant. So, bottom line is, when you're out driving, pay attention to your driving, wear your seatbelt.
Okay, dude, I do. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, Ms. Farrell.
All right, thank you. We are speaking with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott. We also have Detective Shay Racy in the studio, along with Officer Tony Zaffarano and K9 Officer Cash, who is actually chilling right now. Earlier, Cash was quite hyped up, so I guess he's kind of chilling right now. And So that is all good. Of course, if you have a question for either of these officers, the phone number is 870-277-1080. Once again, the phone number is 870-277-1080. We're going to go ahead and get ready to go into break. And when we come back, we're going to talk with Detective Racy. We're going to learn more about what he does for the Jonesboro Police Department and take your calls and your questions. You listen to Community Conversations. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Ladies, are you struggling to forgive your husband? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Marriage means making mistakes, lots of mistakes. Unfortunately, some of those mistakes are harder to forgive than others. So here are 2 truths to consider when you're struggling to forgive your husband. First, remember that someday the tables will turn and you'll need forgiveness. Be ready to show him grace, knowing that eventually you'll need his undeserved favor in return. Second, acknowledge that forgiveness is a decision, not a feeling. If you're waiting until you feel ready to forgive, chances are you'll be waiting a long time. Instead, make the decision to forgive your husband today. And remember, your family first.
Want to stay in touch with Mark? You can. Join him on Facebook, facebook.com/Mark Merrill.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook.
KLEK presents A Harvest of Spoken Word Junior Edition, hosted by Quabila Harden, to be held Saturday, November 19th, 2016 at 6 p.m. Location, Whistle Stop Bistro and Catering, 5435 East Nettleton Avenue. It is $12 with the meal included. This will be open mic, karaoke, dance, comedy, and etc. 18 and under to perform. This is a KLEK fundraiser.
Car Today, 3404 Stadium Boulevard in Jonesboro. Car Today is a buy here, pay here dealership offering Carfax certified pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models with service contracts and financing for most budgets. Inventory and more information is available at neacartoday.com or 870-931-4224.
Whistle Stop Bistro and Catering, 5435 East Nettleton Avenue at the four-way stop between highways 351 and 463, serving Jonesboro for over 5 years with a motto of, we cater them all, large or small, offers catering and rental space for parties, churches, offices, and fundraisers for holidays and all occasions. They also offer a full breakfast and lunch menu, open Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., 870-275-6239. Details at klekfm.org.
The New St. John Missionary Baptist Church Outreach Ministry conducts a Pack the Pantry event the first Sunday of every month. The New St. John Food Pantry helps feed the needy in the community. Each member is asked to bring a non-perishable food item of choice. Donations from the public are also accepted. The food pantry is available for those in need daily from 10 o'clock a.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. New St. John Missionary Baptist Church is located at 308 North Main Street in Jonesboro, and more information is available at 870-972-0859 or 870-317-1269.
Lame excuses and other forms of voter apathy have no place in American democracy. Show that you care, do your duty, and go vote. This is a reminder from Cheryl Underwood Radio.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations with our guest, Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott, Detective Shay Racy, and Officer Tony Zaffarano. Cash has been put back in the vehicle, but it is all good. But we appreciate Cash for participating in the interview. All right, so now we're going to talk to Detective Racy. So just kind of start off with telling listeners about yourself and just talk a little bit about what you do as a detective for the department.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little bit of background on me. I'm actually not even from Jonesboro. I'm from a small town called Dumas, Arkansas.
Okay.
Shout out to the Mighty Bobcats.
Oh, goodness.
I think one of your frat brothers, Daryl Spinks.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, me and him from the same hometown. Anyway, I come up here in '99 and got on with the police department in 2002. So I've been here be 14 years, November 16th. November 16th, and raising a family here. Jonesboro is an awesome city, and I just love it here. Love being on the police department. Since I've been here, I've actually been a school resource officer. I spent about 8 years on patrol, and the last 4 years of my career, I've been in the criminal investigations division. I'll be transitioning out of this position in January, going to be the next DARE officer. And so, but enjoyed my time as a detective, and have had an opportunity to make a lot of friends and help a lot of people, close a lot of cases, and do some good. So,
right. So Detective Racy, you mentioned that you're going to be the next DARE officer, which we want to congratulate you on that position. Do you see yourself even moving further up the ladder?
Oh yeah. It's life situation kind of dictates what you do in your career sometime as well. But definitely moving up the ladder as far as promoting sergeant, lieutenant, and above is on the agenda for the future.
Well, we certainly wish you the best with that, and we're glad to see it. I think that can be an inspiration, especially to the other minority officers on the force, to see someone such as yourself that can rise up through the ranks to a higher position. I'm sure that you are an inspiration to them.
Thank you.
All right. Well, my questions that I want to ask, because there are different units, departments within the police department, with K9, detective, and then the patrolman. I just want to know how, one, do y'all work together? Like, once you get a case, okay, I think TV has totally distorted our view of how things actually work. We see the show 48 Hours. There's no way that all cases you can get enough evidence to even get a head start on a case in 48 hours. So walk us through how, once the clock starts,
how you would work a typical case.
Yeah, I mean, I think the concept of 48 hours is, within that 48 hours, you have a certain amount of time to gather the most crucial of evidence, and then after that, it's kind of an up in the air type of deal as whether or not that evidence will be preserved. But just a typical day in the life of a detective in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Okay.
If you're not on call, you come in the morning, and we sit around and we brief on what has happened over the night. Get case assignments, and we're only assigned felony cases, unless with the exception of some violent misdemeanors, or if it happens to be a felony DWI or something like that. But we're assigned those cases, and then we're tasked with investigating them. If Officers Alfarano and Cash make an arrest, they apprehend a felony suspect, then we'll get that case the next morning, and we're tasked with going and trying to speak with that individual and try to figure out why it is they did what they did. And so from there, if there's any evidence to be gathered, any search warrants, any photo lineups, any victim speaking and meeting, and evidence gathering, then that's all on the detective who's working that case.
So do you have, I dare ask, do you have a regular shift, like 8 to 5, or do you just work whatever time?
Actually, I think we're supposed to work 8 to 4. That's what's supposed to happen. But we try to do a good job. All of our guys try to do the best job we can. So that 8 to 4 doesn't quite work all the time.
So do you have an overnight detective shift, or not just?
They're just called out. We have a detective on call, and if something major happens, then that detective and usually several others will come out and work the scene. And along in that division, we have a crime scene investigation crew that will come out and work on the scene also.
And that's what I really want to like. I'm a CSI junkie. And
there you go.
And I know again that they over exaggerate the process and how things really work on TV, but
they do, and it does cause us some problems down the road because people think that we have a DNA analyzer 2000 like Horatio does, and
on scene,
on scene, and we don't. And
oh goodness.
And down in Miami on CSI Miami, they can go out, work a crime scene, and back at the office before the first commercial break, and it doesn't work that way here. Reality is you get a major crime scene, these men and women are out there for hours. They could be up to 10, 12 hours just working a scene, so
wow.
It all varies, but TV does kind of taint the way the policing is actually done, and so that's why we have Citizen Police Academy to educate people in the way it's done, actually done.
Okay.
But and this is why we talk about it in situations like this, because we want people to understand that a lot of this, what you see on TV, is not the way it actually is.
Right.
Okay.
But Detective Racy and the crew back at CID, they do a great job, and they manage multiple cases at once.
Okay.
It's just not that it's just one case. Every day they're getting new cases on top of the cases they've had, from days or weeks before.
Right.
So it's they could be managing 10, 15, maybe 20 cases at once.
Yeah.
And
15 is kind of 12 to 15 is about the norm.
Oh my
is
gosh.
what we carry on a day-to-day basis.
Wow. I'm sorry, I wanted to back up just a little bit. I didn't get to ask Officer Tony, how long have you been with the Fort, and like, what role does the K9 also play with the detectives? Like, do they call you out from the beginning or somewhere between?
I've been with them with the police department 13 years. I've had a dog almost 11 of those 13 years. When you ask that question about how we interact with each other, it's interesting and it's fun, because you'll find with the way the officers interact with whatever part of town they work, generally, you'll have officers or detectives that work those cases in that area. They'll call those officers. So Officer Racing may call me because he knows that I may work up north most of the time. And then you'll have other officers call other area units. So it's interesting how the bonds within the other departments within that whole department work together. So it comes together sometimes more than everybody knows on all the phone calls. And so patience from the public is the biggest thing I would say is just because something happens doesn't mean we're not doing anything about it. We need a lot of patience and help.
That's another thing I wanted to get into. Some people are quick to criticize, well, the police are not doing anything, no one's taking my case, or no one's researching, investigating, blah, blah, blah. Please help the residents to understand what goes into, really investigating a case and closing a case, and how they can play their role, what role they can play in helping you along.
Well, I guess there's a general answer to that question, and then kind of a more specific answer as it relates to what type of crime it is. If it's a property crime, the big thing right now is people are going and checking doors. Mm-hmm. They're doing what's called car hopping. So the biggest thing the public can do to help themselves and help us out with that is lock your doors. Lock your doors on your cars. Make sure your purse isn't visible. When you park in the parking lot, cover it up with something or take it with you. Those type of things prevent those crimes, because what we're seeing is an uprise in it's some teenagers on into adults. I mean, they're going around, and it may be just a subdivision. They may hit a subdivision one night, and every car that's parked outside, they checking the doors on it, trying to see if they're unlocked. I got a case this past Monday where I've got a guy on video doing the exact same thing. And I didn't know you guys have a website. I may send you the link to that video and see because we're still looking to get this guy identified.
Okay.
But he checked over on Thorne and Clark. He checked every door of every car and got in the trunk of some of them, and it's just because people left those doors unlocked. And so, on the front end, that's what you can do. Obviously, afterwards, if you've got things like serial numbers for your devices and that kind of thing, that can help us on the back end, because if we can recover that property, it may not be tomorrow, but if we can recover that property tomorrow or next week, then we can link it and get it back to you. Okay. And whoever bought that property knows who they bought it from. Mm-hmm. So it's then a backtracking effort, but we're definitely willing to do that to get justice for whoever it is that's the victim of that time. So
when Mr. Jeff Presley was here discussing the E911 program, and now this new smart 911, mm-hmm. and I think you mentioned that people can also take photos of different things, of mm-hmm. their different property that they own, cell phones, laptops, TVs, whatever. Right. So would that also help you out if people registered certain items, their car, put pictures of different things on their smart 911 profile? Well, would that help you
smart
out?
Smart 911, you don't put all that on your profile. You can put your vehicle and family and things like that. But as far as your personal property, no. Now, each individual, to help us out, if individuals would put their serial numbers to their property, just have a list of their high dollar assets they have in their house and serial numbers, and yes, go ahead and photograph it and just hang on to that information, secure it someplace, and that way if they are a victim of a crime, they can go in and show us pictures and give us the serial numbers. We can enter those serial numbers in the computer, and if they come up stolen anywhere in the country, then we'll know it comes back and belongs to you. Mm-hmm. So that is your part, doing your part to help us, do our part. Okay. As I said all along, this is not a spectator sport. It takes everybody involved in policing to make the community safe. It takes the community to be involved. You have to do your part so we can do our part more efficient. We just can't get out, and sometimes we're expected to solve everything, but if you don't have your serial number and good enough information, then I can't find it, or these guys can't find it, unless we have something tangible to work on.
Right. And let me kind of switch gears real quick to personal crimes. It would make my job so much easier and it does at times, because I've got officers like Officer Zaffarano that knows how to get out and talk to people and get people to talk to us. We need the public's involvement on these crimes where there are shootings and stabbings and things like that go on, and we get there and nobody saw anything. So that that slows my time, or actually speeds my time up on not being able to solve a certain crime. And so when you've got the public that will be involved and stand up for their community and say, we're not going to have that here, and assist us in making these arrests, and it's like, it's not all about getting somebody put in jail, but if somebody does something that harms somebody, then that consequence needs to be dealt out, and that person may need to seek help or whatever the case. But if we can't get that person apprehended and figure out what went on with that situation because somebody won't talk to us, then that makes our job harder, and it makes your community that much more tense to try to walk in and live in, and your kids to live in and play in. So.
And transitioning into that, Detective Racy, when you mentioned talking, let the listeners know, as far as like when you all detectives, you all interview people, the interrogation, like what's the difference between how it works in real life as opposed to television?
Well, well, obviously, on the very front end of that, we make everybody aware of what their Miranda rights are as it pertains to a suspect. A victim, we also make them aware, hey, you don't have to talk to us, but we would, or a witness, you don't have to talk to us, but I would love for you to, because this will aid in the investigation of, whatever case we're working at that time. So it's and then we're not going to get in there and we're not going to scream and yell at you. We're not going to throw stuff at you.
So it's not a good cop, bad cop kind of thing.
No. Somebody may come in with a mean mug on his face, and then the other guy's smiling. As you can see, I'm always the guy that's smiling.
So you the good one.
I'm the good cop. But you sometimes you have to be stern with people, and everybody's not the same. Because people watch these shows on TV, and they the first 48 is good, and it's probably been our worst enemy as far as CID is concerned, because people understand what you're doing when you're in a room talking to them. But it's necessary, because if somebody harms one of your family members or somebody steals something from you, then you want that same justice that we're trying to give this other person that we're talking to right now. So. So that that's kind of how that works. No, we don't beat up on people or waterboard them or
Well, I wasn't saying you all were doing that.
Have you ever had a suspect? So have anyone ever attacked an officer in an interrogation room?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have had that.
So at the police department, do you all have that chair, I guess you say? It's like a restraint chair.
No. Just a
is that only
plain
for
straight back chair with 4 legs.
Yeah. Is that only for high security, max security type?
Well, when you get out to the jail, there are security chairs out there.
Okay.
If you're combative, you will be placed in a security chair and a helmet put on your head.
Oh my.
Keep you from harming yourself.
Oh my.
Right.
So I know we can't talk about specific cases. There was one in the news. I'm not going to bring it up in detail, but if there's a case where, I think we talked about this before, someone has a mental illness, and I think we talked about it with the sheriff, but someone has a mental illness, it's quite apparent that it's mental illness versus, they're on something. How do you deal with them?
Well, I mean, obviously we and I think Tony can kind of talk about it from a patrol standpoint, because they're normally the people that deal with them first. But it's a deal where you try and calm that person the best you can up front, and then obviously if that's not going to work, then you have to try and make it safe for that person and for everybody else. So if that apprehension has to take place and some force has to be used, then we're trained in affecting that apprehension without harming that person too bad.
Okay. So do you try to, I know sometimes late at night, if it's overnight, you can't always reach a facility or reach a social worker or reach whoever needs to help that person, or whoever in the courts, but do you try to get that person help versus just straight to jail?
Absolutely.
Correct. There's a process. If we encounter somebody on the street that's obviously in some kind of mental distress, we'll take them to the emergency room, and they'll have mental health screeners to come out and give an evaluation of that individual, and they can do up to a 72-hour hold on them, and they can place them on that hold.
Okay.
So they can be evaluated further the next day. So the jail environment for somebody mentally is one we try to avoid.
Right.
But sometimes situation may dictate that they may end up in jail, but we don't want to keep them there. We want to get them out of the criminal justice system and into the mental health system.
Okay.
But so we have some steps in place to safeguard that, make sure that somebody that's really having mental issues that are not getting caught up in the criminal justice system.
Okay. I want to, sorry, kind of going back and forth here. I want to ask Zaffarano. Okay, when you have Cash or another K9 in the car, you pull someone over, do you automatically take him out? Or if the person gives you some type of reason, if they're acting suspicious or you smell something?
It's pretty much the totality of the circumstances, and a traffic stop is just like not as involved as a criminal case that a detective may, but you're using all your resources and knowledge, and it's an investigation. A traffic stop is into what may transpire during it. So you got to go through the traffic stop and go through and decipher if there's reasonable suspicion to get the canine out, and even use it. Now there's sometimes that we may know that an individual left a known drug location.
Okay.
So that helps in our investigation, kind of like if somebody talks to a detective during a criminal case.
Okay.
So just what I want to iterate is having the public's support and communication with us. Take back your community, and the more information we have, the safer communities are. As long as we have that support and people take back their communities, the more crimes and we can solve, and the less drugs that hopefully we can get out of the neighborhoods.
Okay.
All right, you listen to Community Conversations with Jonesboro Police Chief Detective Shay Racy and Officer Tony Zaffarano. This is KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Here are some common money mistakes and what you need to do to fix them. First, thoughtless spending. If you're not following a spending plan, also known as a budget, you're just not serious about improving your finances no matter what you say. Time to grow up and plan your spending. Not creating an emergency savings fund. You need at least 6 months of living expenses saved up as a cushion for unexpected setbacks, such as short-term unemployment or emergency repairs to your home or car. Determine an amount to save each month and have it automatically deposited into an account other than the one you use for regular household spending and expenses, becoming a real live ATM for your family and friends. There's nothing wrong with helping others, but if you lend money that should go toward your bills, debts, your emergency fund, and retirement savings, you're putting your own financial health at risk. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Experience the joy with Bishop Adrian R. Rogers of Fullness of Joy Church, 3307 Ray Street, Jonesboro, Arkansas, 72401.
Did you know that KLEK 102.5 FM is a non-profit organization? Did you know that you can donate to KLEK 102.5 FM and your donation is tax deductible? Donations to non-profit organizations such as KLEK can reduce the amount of taxes you may owe the IRS or increase the amount of any potential tax refund. Support your KLEK today. You can donate by calling 870-277-1080, visiting our studio at 1411 Franklin Street in Jonesboro, or on our website www.klekfm.org. We at KLEK 102.5 FM are blessed and grateful for your support.
On the KLEK community calendar, St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church will have their first annual coat drive on Saturday, November 5th from noon to 4 p.m. The event will be held at the Parker Park Community Center at 411 West Monroe Avenue in Jonesboro. Donation and event details are available through Pastor Perry Jackson at 870-897-7140 or Jewel McCalland at jewelmccalland@suddenlink.net.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations with our guest, Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott, Detective Shay Racy, and Officer Tony Zaffarano. If you have a question for either of these guests, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, that is 870-277-1080. You can also leave your comments on our Facebook live stream, and we have a shout out. Chief, this is from your daughter Cameron.
Faithful listener.
Well, thank her for that. Okay, so off air, we were discussing some I don't want to call them programs. I'm sorry, units that were once I hate to say disbanded. I'm sorry. Help me out here, please.
Well, we had a proud unit. We had to essentially disband due to personnel shortages and put those officers back on the shifts back when we were having shortages in manpower. And now that we have hired officers back in place and they're in this process of training, once these new officers are fully trained and out on their own, then the special service unit will be put back together, and we'll be adding additional officers to our criminal investigation division and to the drug task force division. Okay. So again, we're allotted 159 sworn officers, and right now we are 3 short, and we are currently doing background investigations on the last testing cycle that we just went through, and hopefully by the 1st of December we'll be filling these last couple of slots with people off that list, and those that are hired then will go to the police academy in January. We currently do have 3 officers in the police academy at Pocahontas. They'll be graduating on the 18th of this month, and they'll begin their 3-month field training, or riding with the field training officer after the 18th of November. So for the department, everything's coming around, staffing's coming around. These new hires are winding down on their training, and the training for a new officer is it's not a short process. It takes about 8 months after you're hired in to go through the training, in-house training and police academy training. Then you have to do your ride along with a field training officer and before you cut loose. So there's a lot of training involved. So just because we're fully staffed doesn't mean that they're a complete asset to the department. But right now they're far enough along in their training phase that all of our cars are doubled up, so they are an asset to some degree. But once they get out on their own, we can put more cars on the road, and obviously we can do more things around town, such as these saturations and things like that. So the additional manpower has paid off again, and the effects are we've been able to do these saturations now, and we're going to continue to do other things. We get the special operations unit back up and running. Again, we're going to concentrate on areas of high drug trafficking and things like that. So it's all coming back around for us.
And what are some of the other things that the special operations unit will do?
Well, it's pretty much like a vice division. We have not only drugs and street level drugs, but there's been some problems with prostitution off and on, and so
I shouldn't be surprised.
They will deal with that. So anything that may involve a little bit more time than what a patrol officer could devote that time to, this special operations division will get together and deal with that kind of situation. So they will be tasked with many things. They will supplement patrol. They will also supplement drug task force. They're just group of officers that their shifts will vary. They're just kind of used as a supplement and also to work do intensity in certain areas.
Now, are there officers, depending on what role they play, what department they work in, does their identity have to be concealed?
We do. Our drug task force, that's a division that these officers work undercover, so their identity, we don't put out there. We don't post pictures and things like that, obviously.
So, you never saw them coming.
Never saw them coming. Our drug task force, it's part of the 2nd Judicial District Drug Task Force, so we're working in multiple counties in northeast Arkansas, and we're also working along with our federal agencies on various projects. So there's a lot that really goes on behind the scenes that most people don't realize. But again, if you come to the Citizen Police Academy, we will expose you to all aspects of this, and you'll have officers from Drug Task Force to come in and talk about what they do and how they do it. So,
all right, Chief. Well, we got 2.5 minutes before we wind this down, so I guess you can go ahead and continue your plug for Citizens Police Academy, or anything else that you or the other officers want to get out there that we did not mention during the interview. Any final comments for either of the 3 of you?
Any shout outs to family, friends, anything?
We got 2 minutes.
Well, just say, we want to shout out to everybody and again, thank everybody in the community for your support of the Jonesboro Police Department. We appreciate, we have a great community that we live in and which we're serving, and we want you to be a part of your city and do your part in helping us do our part in protecting Jonesboro, because This is a great place to live. We want to keep it that way. We want to keep this community as crime-free and drug-free as possible and make this a great environment for your family and your friends and your kids to grow up in. So by all partnering together, we can accomplish this and do great things.
Is there when's the next testing cycle is going to be?
It'll be in the spring sometime. We don't have a date set just yet. Once we do, obviously, we'll be announcing it on the radio show here, but it'll be in the spring sometime. Again, the openings are positions for the police department. They're going to be hard to obtain at this point because I think we're starting to get certified officers from other agencies looking at the department after this recent pay raise. I think it's be more desirable place to come.
Okay. But don't let that stop you. If your dream is to still be a police officer,
oh, absolutely,
still give it a go because you never know, and perseverance does pay off.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other community events coming up in the year? Christmas? Well.
Oh yeah, Shop with a Cop.
Shop with the Cop program will be coming up. I don't have the date just yet, but that is an event that the local fraternal order of police has put on for several years now, and it's a great program. Kids that underprivileged kids in the community, and they get a chance to spend the morning with a police officer, and that officer will take them in the police car and go out and do a little shopping. And this event is partnered with the local Rotary Club every year. So once we get the dates on that, hopefully by the next time I come on, we'll have that information out.
All right. Thank you.
Chief, want to thank you for stopping by. Thank you, Detective Racy and Officer Zaffarano for stopping by. This is a community conversation. Don't go anywhere. Coming up at the top of the 10 o'clock hour, Attorney Bobby McDaniel will be live with us. This is KLEK on 2.5 FM.
Thank you for listening